Boom, hey YouTube, it's me, Nate Lovelady. So, today in my video, I want to go ahead and touch on the medical mistreatment of the inmates at the academy at Ivy Ridge. And the medical mistreatment was almost up there with everything else as far as the abuse went. You almost never saw a real doctor, ever. I remember a lot of nurses, assistants, things like that, but you never really saw an actual doctor, and they didn't want you to leave the facility. So whatever it was that ailed you was just kind of getting brushed off as something minor. Right before I had been pulled from the program, there was a young man. He had developed some type of condition, infection, rash, I don't know what it was, with his legs, right? He probably had caught it from the showers. The showers, it was a community shower. If you didn't wear sandals, you were probably going to catch something, ringworm, whatever. A lot of the guys came into the program were having sex, and some of them had gonorrhea, some of them had STDs. And when you're in a community shower and that stuff comes out, you don't want it touching your feet if you have open sores, whatever. So this fella, his legs over a course of a week swelled more and more and more, and the skin became hot pink and glossy like tissue paper. Eventually the skin began to split from the swelling, and little faucets of blood, lines of blood would just leak down his legs as he was sitting there in horrible pain. And it was so bad to the extent to where they didn't make him walk. They didn't make him walk, but he couldn't see a fucking doctor, right? So these open sores and lesions eventually got bigger and bigger. Some of them got infected, and they would leak goo, and it would stink, and it was fucking brutal. And I remember when he had eventually seen somebody, he saw something of the tune of a nurse's assistant, whatever. They gave him a tube of cortisone ointment and told him good luck. It takes no fucking genius to figure out that that's not gonna help whatever it is that was going on with this guy's legs, right? So I was pulled before that issue was resolved, or if it ever was, I don't know. But that was one instance of everyday living, how things worked, especially for medical. The tall red-headed kid, we've talked about him in other videos. Everybody that was there knows who he is. I've been talking about him with survivors all week. And if you're out there, man, I hope you see this, and we're thinking about you. We're looking for you. If anybody deserves justice more than anybody, it's him. So he, by today's standards, would probably be diagnosed with some form of autism. And the fact that we were seeing so-called counselors and therapists, it would take a trained professional 5 minutes to sit down with this guy and be like, oh, we got to get you the fuck out of here. This isn't for you. So anyways, they tortured him to no end, and he would end up in worksheets every day. And he would end up in OP, observational position, flat on your stomach, tips of your toes touching the floor, arms extended out, tips of your index fingers touching the floor, and your chin touching the floor. Now, I've heard different versions of OP, but that's how I was always in OP, and that's how I saw a lot of other guys in OP. Some guys had their hands to their sides. I don't know, I guess it all depended on who the Nazi running worksheets was that day. So anyways, he would end up in that position so frequently that he developed this huge sore on his chin. And he was so anxious and nervous all the time, he would pick at it. and they'd send him right fucking back to worksheets, and he'd be right back in OP with the open sore on his chin on the floor. And it's incredible. And that was everyday living. That young man was never treated properly. And it's ironic because they were quick to sweep under the rug something like a massive infection on your legs, but by God, they were quick to jam those fucking tranquilizers down your throat, man. Let me tell you, when it came to the pharmaceuticals, woo, they, there was no shortage of pharmaceuticals that they wanted to put inside of your body to zombify you. If you were zombified, robotic, and docile, the more you would comply with the program. And I sometimes think to myself, I can't believe I even had a fucking mind to think, or even had a little bit of a sense of humor through all of that. That's what got me in trouble a lot, is I would joke around a lot and I would bullshit a lot. And I'm still that way to this day. And that's what would get me in trouble. But I think back the fact that I had a little bit of a sense of humor on all the pills. I mean, between it was like Deserol and Celexa and Concerta, fluoxetine, Zoloft, Seroquel, all the different drugs. I'm surprised I could even think, or a lot of the guys who are all doped up every day could think too. And yeah, they were really quick to prescribe you as many drugs as possible and jam them down your throat, but you didn't get any medical treatment. I heard a pretty fucking insane story on a survivors forum where basically this person had to fake appendicitis to be able to leave the facility and be taken to the hospital. Well, they got to the hospital and the doctor took out their appendix anyways, but their parents came, showed up, they let them know what was going on, and they pulled their kid from the program. All it cost them was one appendix and probably a $50,000 surgery. But how insane is that to think those were the steps, that was the extent you were willing to go to get the fuck out of there. That's crazy. And I plotted that all the time. I had thrown myself off the top of my bunk and smashed my head really hard purposely, trying to split my head open, hoping they would take me to the hospital for a concussion. I have a really hard head. And I remember I was laying there and the dorm dad stood over me and they said, "Get up, get up." And then they eventually just snatched me and picked me up. I was like, holy shit, dude. I was like, nobody's coming to save me, and it looks like there's no saving myself at this point. And it was brutal. It was every day. It was nonstop, and we never ever received the proper treatment from any avenue while we were there. The counselors, therapists, use that term loosely, were against us. They just passed on any information that you gave them along to the others so they could use it against you to crawl inside your mind, manipulate you, infiltrate the deepest regions of your brain. Whatever you told them was getting passed along. You never saw a doctor. You never. They I think at the most I saw a nurse's assistant. And that was it. We were all pretty much fucking malnourished robots that were being programmed to be exactly that, robots. And if you didn't comply, you paid the price. So, well, if anybody out there has any questions, like to get a hold of me, please do. Right now, the wheels are turning and good things are happening. I don't want to start outing people because I want to let the process take its course. And that's kind of what I'm referring to this whole thing as. They had the program, we have the process, okay? Let all of this process and things are going to work out. Let the process work. It's time to kill the program for good. Guys, I love you all the survivors out there, everybody that was in AIR that's been reaching out to me all week, thank you. I've actually got a hold of some guys that I was in with, and that's been a breath of fresh air. It's really awesome to talk to some of them and to kind of scrape the annals of our mind and start remembering shit. It's crazy how deep you bury some things in your head that you can pull out of nowhere when reminded. So everybody, thanks for watching. We're just going to keep exposing them, and I hope that, if anything, this can make it to a federal level and it can finally be addressed properly, and people who have done wrong can start to pay. That means you, Litchfield. That means you, Finlayson. And I've been hearing a lot about George Tulip this week. I don't mind to put their names out there because they're already out there. I'm not saying this is a threat or anything, but I'm just saying I would hate to be George Tulip right now. I don't think that man could probably even walk into a gas station and buy himself a soda pop without somebody giving him a weird look. And you know what? I don't give a fuck. Rightfully so. I hope his life is hell. Just like he made all of our lives hell. Finlayson, same deal, man. I hope your fucking life's hell. I hope you get to live this hell that we all lived. Litchfield, all you motherfuckers, same thing. You can act like you're not scared, but they finally are. And everybody's finally listening. The ball's in our court. So guys, let the process run its course. And it's time to finally kill the program. Much love. Over and out.